Hey y'all, it's me at Authentic Fee, and this is a podcast slash vlog on life lesson number 45 from 140 life lessons. I wish I knew at 20, aka FSB 140, on carving out your own life path and projecting your own narrative. I can't think of any other perfect person, y'all, to have this discussion with than my guest today, Muna Shahab. She embodies this life lesson like no other being, and in a way that inspires everybody, including myself, to do it too. I'm so happy and grateful that she's here. Okay, y'all, let's do it. Everybody is fixing to understand why I've never done an interview in Arabic, even though this interview is going to be English, but we'll subtitle or translate the random Arabic bits and bobs here and there. So, Muna Shahab, welcome.
Fatimah, I'm going to call you first. Thank you so much for having me. And everyone who's listening, everyone who's watching, this woman showers everyone with more than they deserve. So don't believe anything she says.
You are a ridiculous girl. It's reciprocity. I love you so much. Okay. So thank you for being here. And I know we got a time difference, so I know it's tough. Marra shukran. Okay, there's so much to unpack. Your mountain climbing, your philanthropic work, your PhD. You've done all these incredible things. But before we get into the how and the why and the what you faced in terms of any potential kind of pushback or raised eyebrows, tell us a little bit about your background, just for context.
Sure. So it's always hard to talk about yourself. So real quick, in short, I am a child clinical psychologist by profession, an adventurer by birth, born between the sand dunes. I'm that half and half kid on the block. It's funny, like we're born in a certain place, yet we sometimes I always try to think like outside the borders and outside the boundaries, because why do dotted lines on a piece of paper kind of like define where we are?
I hear
so
you.
Just under the world, if you will.
Yes.
I love the outdoors. I love nature. I think I took my adventurous gene from my mom and my
I love that about you. You are one of the most adventurous people that I've ever met, mashallah.
Fiefs. I mean, they used to punish me by telling me I can't go play outside because it's too hot or it's too late. So yeah, I love the outdoors. So yeah, the adventurous gene from mom, and I would say the soft gene or humanitarian gene, if you will, from dad. I owe that one to him for sure. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, that's an incredible balance, and it's such an incredible yin and yang mix, and it explains your energy and all the things that you're doing. Okay, I got to jump right into your mountain climbing, girl. And you've climbed Kilimanjaro, you've climbed Everest. I mean, your nickname is Nugget. بالله عليك مين يقوم في الصباح no way ابغى بس افهم مين يقوم في الصباح ويقول خليني اروح اسلق جبل, like who does that? Who wakes up and says I want to go climb a mountain? and why what made you? And before you answer, I got to bust out and sing, because we're climbing Kilimanjaro in 2022 or 2023, and I'm gonna go sing Toto. It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. We're climbing Kilimanjaro. I swear to goodness, we're doing it in 2022, 2023, inshallah. Okay.
Inshallah.
Why?
Okay. Why not? It's there, but that's not my answer. That's not my answer. I actually exchanged vows with the mountain by accident. It all started when I was hiking in Africa on Kilimanjaro, and I just fell in love with the whole journey, be it the people you cross paths with, the terrain, the feeling. Thieves, a lot of people ask me, Mona, what was it like, after every single expedition or hike or climb?
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no word that will do it justice.
It's just that feeling of accomplishment, or is it the trek itself?
It's everything. It's everything that you said. It's the trek. It's the feeling of, it's the people you cross paths with. It's the trek. It's, I don't know, it might sound funny, but it showers you with humility. You feel this little, and when we're at sea level, we worry about the temperature. Oh, it's too hot. Oh, it's too cold. Oh, I don't like this blouse. Oh, this is too small. This is too tight. And up there, it's like, like you're very thankful and grateful for the simplest things. A toilet seat. Like I
Yes.
was in Everest for 55 days, Fafes. I swear to God, when I walked into that hotel after those 55 days, I literally filmed, sorry, ladies and gents, the bathroom because I'm like, a toilet
You're
seat,
like,
a shower.
okay, we're gonna have to work that situation out when we do Kilimanjaro, because girl, I need like, I need a facility. So anyway, but okay.
We'll get there, but I promise you there is a toilet seat. I promise. On Kili.
No, but yeah, I mean, I, so for you, it sounds like it's a really grounding experience, but there's so much that goes into it: preparation, training, what you eat. It's
The
mental.
mental challenge. And honestly, Fifs, like I've always been the competitive type. And I've learned over the years that I'm only competing with myself.
Oh my God, girl, preach! I gotta get my Pellegrino. I gotta do it. Okay.
Cheers!
Cheers! Oh my God, yes.
How far can I go? Because especially with mountains, and mountaineering, it's more of a mental than a physical challenge.
Oh, 100%.
So how far can my legs take me, but how far will my mind take me? How far can I push? And yeah, some people say, yeah, but you're living on the edge and the what ifs. But the what ifs are all around us. They're everywhere, you know? So
100%. I gotta ask you about Everest, if you don't mind, because I know that was a really your latest. I think it was base camp that you climbed.
it was
No,
the
it was a
summit.
summit. It was a summit.
The
Excuse
summit.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a huge difference. Huge
Yeah.
difference. So you
No worries.
actually climbed the summit, and that was tough. And I remember because I follow you on social media, and you couldn't
Lucky
really
me.
post, but you like I love you, Nugget. And you had people posting on your behalf because obviously you can't post when you're climbing Everest, the summit of Everest.
Exactly.
And it was
Exactly.
that last stretch was really was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, it was tough. Like honestly, Fifs, I mean, I I actually like this is gonna people are like, Mona, like why like you just asked me, like you wake up in the morning and you decide to climb Everest. Honestly, I kind of like I climbed Everest by accident.
I
Um
don't believe that, not for a second.
Everest was never in my mind, Fifs, because I always thought Everest was a commercial mountain and anyone who has the money or the is sponsored can climb it. And for me, I was like, I'd rather climb, a mountain that's less crowded, cleaner, and a lot of other things. And then I get a phone call from Elias Kelly, who has become a very close friend. He's a producer, a storyteller, and he had this idea of um, a number of females climbing Everest and to document their journeys. And I said thank you, but no thank you. And he's like, Mona, you climb for causes, you can actually highlight the cause, and it has it might have much more impact, a lot more impact. And I was like,
So
you know
when
what,
you
amazing.
climb, you don't climb just for the sheer sake of competing with yourself. You're actually climbing for a humanitarian cause,
I am climbing usually for a cause, and
and
the
you're raising money.
most cases I'm raising money. Some of the mountains have been just for awareness.
Awareness, yeah, because that's the first step in anything. Absolutely, 100%. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So on Everest, like you're preparing like physically and mentally, kind of like know what's coming ahead. You know that you might see things that you don't want to see, like you know, you hear stories about seeing lifeless bodies of
God rest their
climbers
souls.
passed away
Yes.
like years ago. But what I did not expect was to see climbers that were with us that season. I literally had to, either walk around or step over, not on, over climbers that, we saw at base camp or at camp two, who were just with us like 3-4 days
Oh
ago.
my God. Yeah. No, I would. That would be tough. That would be
So
really
yeah,
tough.
it's brutal, and you have all these questions that come to mind, like even with the Sherpas that are climbing with you, they are
Sherpa.
they're Sherpas. They're putting their lives at risk for a stranger to kind of like make, like like achieve her dream.
Yeah, get something off your bucket list. Not to minimize but I hear you loud and clear. So
There's
I
also
mean,
like
say that again.
there's an
Ethics,
ethical to it as well. So if you
understood.
ask me now, would you do it again? I'm like, I will always climb mountains. I love mountaineering. Not that I'm a mountaineer. I just love mountains
You
and I
told me
like
you were a
climbing.
mountaineer. Are you kidding? You gave me a bracelet that's made out of mountains. بالله عليكي. دحين هتقولي you're not a mountaineer? Come on. مو وقتها.
That's a big title. That's a big title. The
Okay.
world would be a far better place with less titles and egos, Fiefs.
Oh,
And
girl,
you and
I
I
hear you loud and
agree on that.
clear. I'm so over it. I'm so over it. Yes, 100%.
But you agree. So I don't know if I would climb Everest again.
Well,
Like
I gotta
I don't know.
ask, when you came back, or actually, there's two sides to this question.
Yeah.
When you set out, and God bless the storyteller, who basically kind of planted the seed in your mind to go out and do it, and then for you to go out and do it, I want to know, what was the reaction that you got from your immediate circle? Because I mean,
Mhm.
that's a huge feat.
Yep.
And when you came back, what was the reaction, and how did you respond in both cases?
Okay. I'll start with Everest since we're talking about Everest, but then I'm going to divert to the very first mountain that I climbed because I'll get to it in a minute. Everest. I remember um, when I walked into the room my father was sitting in, and I mentioned that I wanted to speak to him. I was like, Dad, you know that I love mountains, and I want your blessing to climb Everest.
Oh my God! And this man is, mashallah, he's like a physician, so he's going to get it. So it's not like, yes. So you're putting your physical health at risk, not just your mental.
And mind you, it took my father 4 months to say yes to Kilimanjaro, and that was only Kilimanjaro.
Oh my
So
God.
all my father did was he looked at me and he was like, "Promise me you'll come back."
Well, okay, خلاص عشان فهم. At this point, he got it, because Everest came
And
after, right? Because Everest, so that was your not your
so
first climb.
Kilimanjaro was 2012, Everest was 2019.
Okay,
So
so
I
he had
had
time. Yeah.
I had climbed mountains in between, but
Yes.
when I asked him about Everest,
The summit.
like,
You've
literally,
done the base camp.
this is the summit.
Yeah.
I did base camp 2012, and then the
Yes.
summit 2019.
Yes. So now
So,
you're talking to him about the summit.
and he was like, he just looked at me very calmly, and he's like, "Promise me you'll come back." And in my head, I'm like, I know that there's a possibility that may not happen,
That's
right?
Allah, yeah. خلاص, he knows your spirit.
Exactly.
He knows your spirit.
So with Everest, honestly, believe it or not, there was no. I mean, some people are like, "Oh, why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense." And you're climbing for a cause. How is climbing related to a cause? And it's just for like marketing yourself and whatnot. But the real kind of like pushback came when we attempted Kilimanjaro. That was in 2012. And I'm not saying that by no means was I the first Saudi to go on a hike or a climb, but back then there were only like a microscopic number of people, females, that were climbing.
Yes.
So and we were climbing for a cause, and basically that organization like wrote an article in a few newspapers, and thieves the comments online on the online version were horrific.
Oh wow.
Like,
so this was on gender and ethnicity in terms of commentary.
This was on gender, ethnicity, and the fact that we were a group of females and males, friends, unrelated, climbing together.
Yeah.
That was one thing. And then another thing that came, there was this very influential businessman who wrote a letter to someone very high up where we live, basically asking him to forbid us from traveling and to take away all our passports, all 8 climbers, because what we're doing is disrespectful to the culture and offensive to many people.
Ludicrous. This was 2012.
This was 2012, and literally this was like a week before our climb. And the comments on the newspaper, like, they were horrible. They were, honestly, I'm like, should we really be doing this? Is it really worth it? I don't
Yeah.
care. But I didn't want I didn't want my father to, you know, he saw them
And you
eventually.
he didn't wanna you don't want him to endure that. I'm not trying to speak
Exactly.
for you, but you don't want like, your
Exactly.
decisions are your decisions, but you don't want them
Exactly.
to impact or
Yeah.
hurt the people around you. That's tough. I gotta tell you, that takes fortitude because I don't know that I wouldn't buckle, to be honest with you. I don't know that I would not.
Yeah. I mean, you'll still hear, comments here and there, but I mean, like, they're much less than what they were when we first started. But you'll still have people out there that will
Oh,
disagree. Will
100%. No, here's the thing that I've come to realize: whether you're climbing the summit of Everest, or climbing Kilimanjaro, or you're just walking outside in a short sleeve shirt, or you're just doing a PhD, or living your life, or passing by a fast food restaurant, somebody somewhere is going to have an opinion about it. So you might as well just go ahead and do what you came to this life to do. And that's really, I just have to kind of get myself anchored in that, and then
Mhm.
just do it. But it took me 42 years. You're a little bit younger than I am, mashallah. You got there a lot sooner than I did. And I just got here like today. When I'm telling you, I'm
You're younger, not that much. Trust me, you're far ahead.
but so when in those moments where you were wavering, what got you through? What made you say, you know what, I'm gonna stick with this, and this is what I want to do, and I'm just gonna put my head down. I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm not gonna worry about what anybody else thinks, because that's tough anywhere you are, irrespective of which society. And some societies are in the process of evolving. So where folks are now versus where they were in 2012,
Mhm.
there's a contrast. But anywhere you go, you're gonna have that kind of social pushback. How did you get through it?
I love your question, Chiefs, and I think it's a number of things. One of kind of like the seeds that um, I owe it to my parents that kind of like they carved in my siblings and I is, if you know that if you're not hurting anyone or hurting yourself,
Oh my God, I'm gonna grab my Pellegrino. Okay, preach.
follow follow your gut feeling and just do it.
Yeah.
There may be consequences down the road,
Yes, of
but
course.
I mean, as long as you're not hurting others, and I remember, especially my father would always start with others and then yourself, right? Um, and by no means am I, and I think Fifs, you know me well enough to know that I'm not a rebel. So it's not like, I'm screaming off the top of my voice and
Right.
no, I'm
You're
going
not
to do this.
rebelling for the sake of rebelling. Right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm in my humble opinion and the opinion of those that I look up to, I'm not offending anyone. I'm
Right.
not hurting anyone. And again, even if everyone around me tells me you're going to fall, you're going to trip, you're going to regret it, I will not be at peace with myself unless
You try.
I try it myself. I need to go with my gut feeling.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, yeah, I have tripped, but I'm
Couldn't.
here.
Yes.
Myself up,
Yes.
you know, and I take one more step and I'm like, okay, hopefully this time, you know, it'll be, a softer fall or trip if I do trip. But it's taking that first step, right? Celebrating that first step and then taking the many steps after that.
This is why I call you my Jiminy Cricket, and this is why I call you when I like. This is why you're part of my like circle of trust. To quote the Fockers.
And I'm not saying this to be nice, like coming from you, that's huge.
Scorpios are either we love you or you don't exist. That's the Scorpio mantra.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, yeah. You don't even exist. At least you know where you stand.
I definitely do. And I want to keep it that way. Inshallah.
I love you. No, you got nothing to worry about, girl. Anyway, you were fixing to say something.
Sorry?
I said you were fixing to say something.
I was going to say something and then what was I going to say?
I interrupted. So
I don't,
we were talking about how you were making decisions and standing in your own agency and not worrying
yeah.
about what other people think.
Yeah. But at the same time, thieves, I'm not, I mean, I mean, we're human, right?
Come on.
So I did I not doubt myself? No, I doubted myself, and I doubt myself a lot
Thank you for
actually.
saying that. Thank you
I
so much for
do,
saying that.
I do. And do I feel sometimes I'm like the what ifs play tag with me all the time,
Oh my
but
God.
at
Girl, that's a quote. That's like a hashtag. The what ifs are playing tag. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's like, I got to get the pen and the what ifs are, girl, I got to
love
write that
this.
down. Okay, go ahead. The what ifs are playing tag. I swear to God.
Yeah, so I mean, and guilt. You know me more than anyone when it comes to guilt. Luca also knows that
Oh my
about
God,
me.
girl.
I mean, guilt kind of like, I would say, befriends me everywhere. But at the end of the day, like, you make that decision. I'm accountable for the decisions that I make, and
Yes.
khalas, I take that first step.
I love that you just clearly outlined to kind of standing in your own agency. You make a decision, you stand by your choice, and you have agency in your choice. And then
Mhm.
the accountability piece is paramount because
Absolutely,
come what may, khalas, this is
exactly,
what I decided.
exactly.
I love that you just outlined that, and I love that you were so honest. And thank you for your authenticity around doubt because I think people look around and they see folks who are doing quote unquote successful things or living their life or whatever success means to a person, whether it's
Yep.
climbing a mountain or starting your own business or getting a PhD, whatever it is. And
Mhm.
they think, oh, this person is so sure of themselves 100% of the time and they're just perfect and they have everything planned out and they know what they're, and it's like, actually, I'm not you. Let me speak about myself.
No,
Like 100% of the time I'm fumbling my way into bliss and I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to rely on the expertise that I've gotten over the years. And you just try, and of course you doubt yourself, but you keep moving forward in the direction, like you said, that kind of your inner spirit tells you to. And that's incredible. I got to, because climbing mountains is not the only thing that you do, mashallah. I got to pivot over to, you've done a PhD,
I'm
and
still doing it, Faith, right? Because I'm not done.
you're still doing your PhD, but
Still working on it.
you're going to be wrapping up soon because you've been doing it now for several years.
Yeah.
I think since
Year
2015 you started. 16.
16, end of 2016.
Okay. PhD is your PhD work, also not an easy feat. I mean, I have a tremendous amount of respect for people that decide to get a PhD because it is so arduous. It's very tedious. It's very concentrated. And it just takes a lot of commitment, and sustained commitment. So I remember one, and I've actually always wanted to get one, but now that I've worked for 20 years, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna call myself a PhDer because I've got a PhD on my own. But
So deserve it. Go for a
I'm
PhD.
giving myself
Don't
an honorary
don't.
PhD. But I remember a girl once told me, don't go get a PhD until you get married, because if you if you have a PhD before you get married, nobody's gonna want to marry you. And I was just like, well, what? I think my him that, but okay, that's the way.
Chief, my answer would have been I would never want to even get to know someone who will not marry me because I have a PhD.
I
That's
have
just
no
ridiculous.
idea what the connection between the two. I don't know what the connection is, but anyway, I want to know what made you, and I think this will kind of naturally go into the follow up question, which is around the work that you do with philanthropy. But what made you go into a PhD, one, or even pursue that at the stage that you decided to pursue it?
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest. Again, you know me. I always try to be as honest as I can.
Of course.
So a number of things, a number of things led me to pursuing my PhD. One of them being that, I mean, if I could be a student for life, I would be a student for life. I mean, if I could afford to be a student for life, I would be a student for life.
Yeah, all of us, girl. Yeah.
Exactly. But technically we are like, students for life because we're learning every single day. We learn
Yes.
from every single person we cross paths with, whatever that person's profession is, right?
So true.
So,
So true.
so for a PhD, there are several things. One, I, I've always wanted to I've always wanted to teach. You can teach without a PhD, but I really wanted to kind of like zoom in and focus on, the specific topic that I'm focusing on. So that was one thing. I also wanted to combine my clinical work with my research in a PhD project, right? Because I wanted to research something that's actually tangible,
Yes.
that I can actually apply.
Yes, because
Um,
PhDs can be quite theoretical or
exactly.
academic.
That's another, exactly, academic. And honestly, Fifs, I'm going to be extremely honest. I mean,
Please, that's the space. This is the space for it.
exactly. One of the reasons why I also really considered a PhD early on, and it took me a number of years until I decided I'm going to do it, is because, with clinical psychology, um, today having a master's is great, but it still limits you. And honestly, like, I think ahead. I'm like, if I end up somewhere, if I lose everything and I
La
have
samaha Allah.
nothing,
Yeah.
la
You can
samah
always
Allah.
come live with me, girl. I'll take care of you.
Careful what you wish for.
Done,
Careful
girl.
what you
Done and dusted.
at least I'll have, like, within my field, I'll have the PhD that hopefully will open doors. So it's also security,
Of course.
in a sense. But mainly, I really wanted to combine my clinical work with research, and to be able to apply it. So that was kind of like I would say the three main reasons why I pursued a PhD. And honestly, I know my dad deep down inside, one more thing,
Yes.
my dad deep down inside, um, I know that he's always wanted me um, to pursue my PhD. And when I was younger, I very much looked like my dad, and they would call me in Arabic الدكتور الصغير.
Yeah.
My
Yeah, Dr.
dad,
Junior. Yeah, Dr. Junior, basically.
exactly.
That's hilarious.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and he's like, will the day come, where when I call you, will I ever live to the day where I'll get to call you Dr. Muna? I'm like, Dad, even if and when I get my PhD, I will always be Muna, plain and simple.
I know. دكتورة دكتورة بالله عليكي دكتورة.
Little midget that's like 151 centimeters. Doesn't work. No.
My stomach.
Not at all.
That's hilarious. Okay, so on your PhD work, when you decided to pursue your PhD, it sounded like within your immediate kind of nucleus, you had full on support for that. Was there any kind of was anybody kind of like, why do you want to do a PhD and why do you want to go so far away? Or
Actually, there was actually, and it was, and owe him a lot. My brother's like, why are you pursuing a PhD? Do you really need it? He's like, you are an octopus. You are interested in so many different things, and because, like, after coming back from studying abroad and working abroad, I was working here for 7 years, and
yeah,
then I decided to pursue my PhD. I'm like, if I don't pursue it now, I'm never gonna go. My brother was like, why? He's like, you're happy in what you're doing, you're settled, you're doing really well. I'm like, yeah, Rami, but I want to focus on, on this topic, and I
really
want to
specialized,
work, you
and you
know.
want to work.
Yeah, I wanted to work, and the type of work that I wanted to do was not available, where I'm living.
Yeah,
So I decided, no, I'm going to go where I will get full exposure, because I'll come back and be able to serve even more, right?
yes,
So that's one of also the main reasons why, I ended up going, to that university, versus the university that I really wanted to go to, because I'm like, or country, I should say, um, because that's where I knew I would learn from the best and work um, in kind of like in complex trauma, and that's really what I wanted to focus on.
So, okay, so I hear you loud and clear because the PhD academic kind of experience you would know a lot better than I would, but it seems to be different regionally. So, Europe
Exactly.
it's much more practical. In the U.S., it's much more kind of theory based, and kind of more for people that are going to go into the academic track of teaching. So, you just basically aligned yourself with
Exactly.
with your objectives.
And I also wanted to, I wanted to work with refugees and undocumented people. And, like, yeah, I mean, Europe did open its doors, and there was like an influx of refugees more so than, other continents. So that also kind of like, you know,
Steered you
um,
in that direction.
into going to Europe.
I got to ask you about your humanitarian work, if you don't mind. So, on your humanitarian work, it it's incredible. I watch it from a very far distance. I don't. I'm super sensitive, and I don't know how you do it. Honestly, it's incredible the humanitarian work that you do. You're very hands on. What what made you go into that?
So I don't mean to repeat myself, but as I told you, like that humanitarian gene, I really think I got from my dad. I mean, I still remember going to the grocery shopping with him, like to no, actually to the fruit and vegetable market, and just just by observing how he would interact with people. And on my birthday we would go to the toy store, and of course he's like, you get to choose whatever it is that you want. And then I choose what I want, but he's like, you also have to choose a gift for someone in need, and this is the budget that we have for both gifts. So all these small things. um so I think it started from a very young age. And then, yeah, honestly, Fifs, like, I think the field that I worked in also really opened my eyes. And I think volunteering from a young age also kind of like, it's like, you know, a seed was planted, and
Yes,
over the years it was kind of like watered and it grew.
and it
So
grew. Yeah,
come the end of my teenage years and like my early 20s, mm, vacations would basically be adventure mixed with volunteerism, and sometimes simply volunteerism.
that's incredible.
um, and yeah, I would go to IDP camps, refugee camps. Again, nothing new. So many people do that. I mean, I don't stand out in any way, shape, or form.
Don't discount yourself. I've never met more of a giver than you. Honest to God. Honest to God.
And and then again, I exchanged vows with the mountain by mistake, because I thought I was going to hike Kilimanjaro and check, I'm done with mountains, and I fell in love with mountains. But what kept me going was the fact that when I was ready to turn around, on the slopes of Kili, I was like, why am I here?
You
How
combined your passion for humanitarian work
exactly,
with your adventure. That's
exactly.
incredible, Muna. That's incredible.
Thank
That's
you.
incredible. That's
But
just
again,
absolutely incredible.
there's so many people out there, they're doing so much more. I swear. I
Oh,
swear.
okay. I believe you, but I have never met anybody that does things the way that you do. And I got to tell you, sure, there are a lot of folks that give from an arm's distance, that give money, that give, but you not only give time, you give, you've devoted scholastically, you've devoted expertise, you devote your even your leisurely act, not that climbing a mountain is a leisurely activity, but you've devoted everything,
Yeah.
you've devoted everything to it. It's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and you've raised a lot of awareness. I certainly have gained a lot more awareness of uh, refugee rights and folks that are in need that I would not be as aware if I weren't kind of within close proximity to you. So I thank you for that. I want to ask you, because you and I used to be neighbors.
I miss
Uh,
you.
I miss you too, girl. We were neighbors up in the DQ, girl. The DQ is so funny. It's like high school, except everybody's the prom and king and queen. It's so funny.
I love that. Well,
It's true. The truth is always funny. Truth is always funnier than fiction.
exactly.
So anyway, we've shared many meals. You've watched me eat chicken strips and honey. Yeah, shared, air quotes, shared. We watched me eat I loved my kitchen girl in the DQ. I had a great kitchen. Remember when y'all came over that night?
We walked into your apartment at like 3 a.m. Majid and I. Of course he's hungry. It's
Yeah, well, y'all just ran. Y'all just did a race or something.
exactly.
And it was so funny because you were like, we're not going to be, because I was leaving. I was traveling overseas the next, like in a few hours. And I was like, I need to get rid of the stuff that's in my kitchen so it doesn't spoil. And y'all came in. I was like, are you hungry? And he was like, no, not really.
Typical Majid. Majid is always hungry. I was like, how are you not hungry?
Because he's always running. MashaAllah, tabarak ar-Rahman, alayh, knock on wood. Yani, Allah yahfazah. He's like, so I was like, well, let me just be like the Southern hospitality in me kicked in. I was like, well, let me just put some stuff out. And khabasna dunya. Like I busted out jam and chicken tenders.
For us.
I made a feast out of the most random stuff. It was so funny. That night. It was one for the books. But anyway.
I miss those days.
Those days were so funny. Those days were. You remember when I had to landscape, when I was trying to landscape my lawn, and I called the guy and I was like, "Billah alek jib li hashish." I called the landscaper and told him to come and plant marijuana for me. When I meant to say like, I just need grass, but I didn't know how to say grass in Arabic.
I'm like, stick to English, Beeps. Stick to English.
Like, just stick to English. Billah aleki, please. You're gonna get us all in trouble. Just stick to English.
Look who's talking. My Arabic is not any better. Trust me.
Oh my God. All that to say, you and I share very similar values around many things, which is why we're so close, including family and what composites kind of the nucleus of a family. And to that end, one of those things is around having children and adopting. For me, I've wanted to adopt. It's been in my heart since I was a kid. SubhanAllah, I have no idea why. So I've never really felt that physiological tick. Oh my God, I need to get married. Because I'm like, you know what? When I'm 45, I'm just going to adopt a couple of kids.
I hear you.
You know, there have been times in my life where I was like, oh yes, I do. I really want to get married. But I more recently have totally gotten over it, because it's like, at this point, it's not about dinner and a movie. It's like, either we're going to build something together, or you're going to mess up my cheese, so you need to keep moving.
I love your statements. I love them.
Don't mess with my cheese. Anyway, but I know that you feel the same way. So,
absolutely.
And I know it's not easy everywhere to kind of adopt, because when I adopt, that kid's getting my name, getting everything. I really don't. I don't even care what anybody else thinks. Honest to God.
100%.
So
I'm with you.
How did you come to that? Well, inshallah, it manifests for you whenever you're ready for it. But
True.
how do you? I'm not sure if you voice that to everyone. Not that you have to; it's your life. But I'm just saying, how do you think that would be received? And do you think that for the people that deserve kind of a response, what would you say?
Mm-hmm. So I have, and again, I share exactly your passion and want to adopt a child. And again, because I believe there are so many children out there
Amen.
that need the love and care.
Amen.
And I'm not opposed, people who want to like get pregnant and the whole experience.
Yeah, dude, you want to do the traditional route, dude. Of course. Simply caution. Allah يوفقك. جيبي فستان بالله عليكي فستان كوشة لا برقص معاكي.
Oh, totally. Never dancing.
But you have to go down that path just to get what you want to get, basically, for me anyway. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But so I've always wanted to adopt. I remember telling my parents when I was a teenager, please adopt a child. They're like, you're enough. Or like, my mom was like, I'm done raising kids. That's it. She's like, you want to adopt? You adopt when you grow up. And I was like, you know what? Inshallah, ya Rab, the day comes where I will adopt. Yeah. So I am 40 years old, and I'm hoping that the second half of my 40s is when I need to get a few more mountains out of my system.
Yes, girl. Yes, I hear you. You and I both, but me theoretically, metaphorically.
And yes, I have voiced it to people, and there has been quite a bit of pushback. They're like, you're telling us that you're gonna adopt a child as a single mom?
Yeah. 100%.
Where you live?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And the child is gonna have your name? I was like,
100%.
and you're not worried about everything else. I'm like, there are things that will come,
Buzz! Buzz!
but so again, yani, it's something that I truly believe in, I'm passionate about, and it's like I've always wanted it, and
Yeah,
there's no stopping, you know?
100%.
And honestly, Fifs, if I have to move to adopt, I
Yeah,
will.
then so be it. Yeah,
I
yeah,
will.
yeah,
Because I want to adopt a child.
yeah. Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. I got to tell you, for a long time, if I'm being honest with myself and with you, I I think I put wanting to have a family on the back burner because I put my career on the front burner for many different reasons, which I have no regrets about. I'm proud of myself, and I did, I did great. But I have become much more honest with myself and acknowledging that I want to have a family, and I will, and even if like tomorrow my soulmate drops out of the sky and we actually procreate, I'm still going to adopt. I've always wanted to adopt, and so whether irrespective if that person comes in my life or not, I'm just that's something that I'm going to do, and I'll still have that kind of family, and I will just build a family life and a family nucleus like you, once I get those metaphorical mountains out of the way. And I really don't give two shakes of a lamb's tail what
I wish I
anyone.
could speak like you. I love your statement.
You know
Well,
what that is?
of course.
That's the mosaic. That's the kaleidoscope. It's a good
Can I ask
mix.
you a question?
Yeah,
Can I
of
ask you a
course.
question?
Please.
Um, do you want to adopt a girl or a boy?
Both.
Or are you indifferent?
Both.
Both. Oh,
Yeah. I'm gonna
inshallah.
adopt both, inshallah. I would really love to adopt three, but I definitely want to adopt both. And
Inshallah.
it's so funny that it's not funny, but you hit on a jugular, because the gender mix is a really big thing in certain societies. And I don't give a flying rat's tail what anybody thinks. I'm gonna raise these kids, and I'm just gonna raise them to understand the
Mhm.
world, understand who they are, help them become what they're meant to be in this lifetime. And I'm gonna
Shower them with love, with
chat
care, with
shower them with love
the
and
basic
care.
needs that they're
Yes,
like stripped away from.
yes,
That's
and
stripped away from.
that's why the adoption piece is so important, because like you just said, kids just need love, and all kids deserve that. And if all kids got that, this world would be a totally different place today. But
Irrespective of age, gender, race, sect, you
last
name it.
name, I
Exactly.
could care less.
Exactly.
And this is why I love you, Nugget. This is why I love you, and we are gonna reunite in one
It,
country or the other. I promise.
it needs to happen.
It will.
We
It will happen.
hope that mumbo jumbo ends
I
if it ever
promise.
ends.
It will end, inshallah. It will
Please.
end.
It's been too
But
long.
it we will have chicken tenders and honey. Girl, I haven't had chicken in years. And then a couple of weeks ago, I broke down and went through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru, and I was like, "Can I get a six-piece chicken?"
And I have yet to try that with you because I've never had Chick-fil-A.
Oh my God, Chick-fil-A is really good. I know a lot of people have different opinions about it, but I love Chick-fil-A, girl. It is good, but I
Try
don't
it
eat
with
it that
you.
much. I like done and dusted. Nugget, I love you so much. I can't thank you enough for showing up today, for telling us your story, for your authenticity,
Love you
just
more.
being you on and off, in public and not in public. And I love how you share your story on social media, and the way that you sit kind of in who you are, if I can say this, allows you to project what you are to the rest of the world. And you do that, and you show up consistently in every single space, whether it's in social media, whether it's in social engagements, whether it's in private conversations, whether it's in public. And I love that so much about you. And I thank you for joining us today, for joining me. And I thank you for always being like my number one cheerleader, even before myself. You cheer for me before even I cheer for me. So I can't thank you enough.
Babes,
Say it. No, go
It's
ahead.
it's an honor and pleasure. And again, and I really mean it, you shower me with more than I deserve.
No.
I'm blessed that our paths crossed, and I have Noha to thank for that, I
I
must
know.
say.
Allah يذكرها بالخير والله العظيم.
صدق, Noha, thank you so much. I mean, and I just wish I knew you before in Riyadh, because like I'm like, oh, I wish I knew Fatma even before, but it's never too late. And I'm here to stay.
I know you're in my soul tribe.
No,
You're in it, girl. You
I'm
are
sorry.
in it. You're not going anywhere. Our kids are gonna play together, inshallah.
And peeps, one of the things I just want to say, and I think
Please.
I want everyone to hear it, is you're one of the very few people, very, very, very few people, right? And you know that I know a lot of people, um, that, yani, whatever, yani, I can I can be myself and be open and be honest, and we can agree to disagree,
Yeah,
and
100%.
be very firm,
Yes.
but discussed, done,
خلاص الموضوع. Yeah,
exactly. And that's very rare.
it
That is
is.
extremely, extremely rare.
Yes.
So thank you for being you. Thank you for being authentic with a pinch of crazy. Thank you for being real. Thank you for being raw.
I love you, Nugget.
Just be you.
I love you so
Keep
much.
moving, keep going, keep moving mountains, because you
Oh,
really do move mountains, Faves. I'm
girl,
serious.
we're gonna climb Kili together, and we're gonna have a toilet like clinic. 100%, we're gonna have one.
Wad, we're gonna climb Kili. You promise
100%.
me.
Promise.
Okay.
Either 2022, inshallah, or 2023.
Done.
One of those, inshallah. I just
Done.
want to say one last time, thank you for being here. And the biggest takeaway from today's discussion is that, which basically reinforces lesson number 45 from FSB 140, which is hands down my favorite, is all about doing what you just said, doing and being you, and doing that spherically, irrespective of what's going on. And with that, I'm going to close out this podcast. And I'm just going to say thank you one more time. And y'all, that's a wrap. I'm sitting here acting like there's 10 people, girl. It's just me. But that's a wrap, y'all. That's a wrap. Thank you so much, Nugget. Thank you.
Thank you, Faves. I loved it. Thanks.